Sulak. Marcela Sulak, her poetry includes Decency, Immigrant, and the chapbook of All the Things That Don't Exist, I Love You Best. She's co-edited Family Resemblance, an anthology and exploration of 8 hybrid literary genres. Awesome book. And translated 4 poetry collections from Czech, French, and most recently from Hebrew, 20 Girls to Envy Me, the selected poems of Orit, Gedali. She directs the Shandy Rudolph Graduate Program in Creative Writing at Bar-Ilan University in Tel Aviv, where she teaches American literature, and so it's so nice of her to come here and read it on our show. Literary translation, creative writing. She also hosts a radio podcast on TLV1 called Israel in Translation and edits the Ilanot reviews. Marcela.
How many of you have been traveling this summer, taking a plane? What do they ask you? You go up to the ticket counter, you put your suitcase down, and they say,
your suitcase is less than 50 pounds.
thank you. Did you pack it yourself, right? How do you feel? You feel like they're suspicious of you, and you're like, did I? Was it with me the whole time, right? Did I put scissors in there? Did my brother put his hunting knife in there? I don't know. Yeah?
I have to confess that my wife helps me out with things like that, so she helped me pass.
You couldn't say that then.
That's not the nature of what they're asking.
That's a good point, and I'm glad you raised that. This is how Orit Gedali answers it, and I'm going to do this in Hebrew so you can get a feeling of the language, and then we'll do it in English. Mikol hashalot lishol. Azarta levad. Ken, levad. Haya kashe, amarti. Aval, yoter kashe. לפחד שזה לא עבר כבר אף פעם. אינני יפה, מבינה. והלב בגדול אגרוף. Did you pack it yourself? Of all the questions to ask, did you pack it yourself? Yes, by myself. It was hard, I answered. Not beautiful, you see. But it's harder to fear that it will never come. I messed up. I'm not beautiful, you see. And the heart is the size of a fist. This is the first poem I ever read from Orit Gedali's, and I took to it immediately because, as you pointed out, the nature of the question is a question of, as Keith and I were talking about yesterday, trust, fundamental trust, right? This is a question that's meant to exclude. Nobody else was with me. I was totally by myself. Nobody comes into my world. I'm protected, I'm safe, I'm sanitary, right? And the question that Orit Gedali was answering was, yes, but it's not always going to be this way. Because in Hebrew, levad has 2 meanings, and you've probably guessed them from the poem. One meaning is by myself. I did it alone. I did it myself. Nobody helped me. The second meaning is alone. And in her context, what she's really answering is, I'm single, I'm not married, I'm not partnered. My wife did not pack my luggage for me, right? And so this is the answer, and this is what her book is open to. Her book is a radical yes. It's a yes to the world, it's a yes to openness, and it's a yes, as you'll see later on in the book, it's a yes to the radical possibilities of escaping from a preconditioned national narrative. And I know we're dealing with this here also right now in the States. And so this is what struck me about the book, and this is why I wanted to translate it. Orit Gedali was born in 1974, just after she was conceived, I suppose, during the Yom Kippur War. And this was a period of national anxiety. And so this generation grew up with the feeling of anxiety. And it was also moving toward individualism. So instead of writing as a communal we, people were starting to write as an I. Ulrike Dali still holds both in her hands at once, okay? She's writing domestic poetry, but her domesticity isn't alone. Her domesticity, as you're gonna see, is haunted by a lot of other voices. And I will also say, I just got this book in my hands day before yesterday, and I was very, very happy to do the launch here at Malvern, because Joe, I think what you do here at Malvern is very much like what Ulrike Dali's doing too, opening the world. If you look around, all the poetry and translation, you never see whole rows of poetry and translation everywhere else in all the small presses. And so I found that this bookshop is actually the best place to do a launch. So thank you, Joe. I'm reading this stuff out loud. And thanks, UT Press is here, so thanks, Wendy, and I forgot her name. Jim? Jim, the acquisitions, I shouldn't forget that. And we just met, but thanks. And since my daughter is not here tonight, I'm going to do a sexy poem about kashrut, food prohibitions and Jewish food laws. Okay. My beloved wakes up. My body is warm on him. Meat mixes with milk. You get it. Now, I said a little earlier that Ulrike Dali's poetry is haunted. And I've been trying to figure out, I've just been living in Israel for 6 years, and everybody yells a lot. And so I'm thinking that one of the reasons everybody's yelling is because it's impossible to utter a sentence of your own in Hebrew. The language is totally haunted by the biblical Hebrew from which it comes. The land is haunted by all of the ruins and the ancient civilizations that are under the ground. And in Ulrike's case as well, she's haunted by other family members that I'll introduce to you as the narrative progresses. But this is a poem called Psalm, and you can see here how her poems are structured according to, or how they pull on biblical Hebrew. This is written in the form of a psalm to David. And it's about a couple that's preparing to go to work. My eardrum plays in your honor a psalm of waking up for money. A psalm of victors filling up with fuel, victors on their way, victors queuing at the cash register. Light switches, straight as erections. Stop dreaming, I shove at you something I threw together for you to take. You're a baby in efficiency. Mumbling thank you. Be careful out there in the boulevard, which you can see from your office window. The trees were planted intentionally, they didn't grow by themselves. Be careful in the noise which is rising up to attack you with a lack of temperance. Don't be seduced by the seraphim of more. I promised we would make iron of this day, and then we would refuse to use it. Who am I kidding? Wake up, wake up! The world, the work of the world is beating warm at our door. If you return in a full suitcase, we will embrace a halo held by a halo. If not full, we will embrace, one holding the other, an anxious hello. Now, this is from her first book called 20 Girls to Envy Me. Her second book is called Closing In, and here's where we get other voices that are haunting her story. This is based on Ulrike's own life. She married a man whose first wife took her own life and left a small baby. And so Ulrike raised the baby as her own and then adopted three more, not adopted, she had three more children. And so this is the opening to the book, and it's called Songs to a Dead Woman. So Ulrike's domesticity is haunted by the first wife here. You. When you rose up in the elevator, you were not holding her in your arms. When you stretched out in bed, you were not holding her in your arms. When you opened the window, you were not holding her in your arms. When you took the dizziness pills, you were not holding her in your arms. When you stood on the windowsill, you were not holding her in your arms. She lay in bed, your daughter. From time to time, she cries out in her sleep. People gather, bobbing their heads around her blanket, bobbing like all her childhood seesaws, gathering against her. Move over, children, let her go first. You rose through floor after floor, the umbilical cord adrift behind you like a ribbon of a gift that will never be given. Which belly did I come out of, your daughter is asking at bedtime. Where is this belly, and what is it holding now? Your daughter. Her black eyes remember how you went away and didn't come back, and you left only the color of the road in her pupils as a souvenir. Behold, who is this that cometh up from the kindergarten, laying down her drawings in which I am not drawn? She scatters the grains of rice on a plate to create thin lace, and she does not give a single word away. May the air between us not be filled, not even for a moment. From the window, you can see the playground, which is painted in primary colors. Colors, simple and pretty, so close to the house. Sometimes it seems as if closeness were possible, as between two consonants of a word written with diacritical marks. But only the frame catches the slamming door in its two hands. The handle straightens like a blank line. Your husband. 2 boxes in the bedroom. Photos of the first wedding above photos of the second. In one, he leans toward me or toward you. His large hand is binding. The baby's first kick didn't excite him as a first kick. His eyes lit up and went dark, like the blink of a silent siren. Sometimes in the morning your name is spoken, rushing our speech so as not to tread on you by accident. Most of the time, you are lying there quiet, a room that hasn't been swept. Curse of Rachel and Leah haunting me. This curse of the one who does not know which of them she is. Now, one other thing that's evident in this poem, probably you're feeling it now, the claustrophobia. Hebrew is written with, and it's based on three-letter words. The words are 3 consonants together, and all of the words are sort of based on that. So if you want to change tenses, the verbs change, the vowels change inside, but you don't have letters to signify the vowels. What you have are dots and lines, and those are diacritical marks. So imagine the space. It's a compact. Every Hebrew word is very compact. You have what's normally the air would be the vowels, and instead they're smashed between, like a Jewish cemetery, right, where all the tombstones. Imagine that. That's what a verb, like what a word is. And so there's no space for the vowels. You just have the little dots. Now, let's take a break from all this claustrophobia and enjoy some Shabbat. Shabbat is the day of rest, and the plain of Sharon extends all the way from northern Tel Aviv up north to Haifa, and then from the Mediterranean Sea to the hills of Samaria. Those are the only 2 things you need to know. We could have lived so well, you say, and gaze at her, still pretty. In a little while, Shabbat in the Sharon, and traffic lights take off their red, and the laces unravel and yield the bare foot, and the records of the world gather together in a book and rest from their anxiousness to break. And the change in the wallet emphasizes the victory of the many and the small. And the expiration dates on the milk do not threaten to expire. And the first fruits are relaxing in sealed bags, and the ice in the freezer assumes the shape of the most self-confident mold. And the styrofoam separates into small balls that do not need to be practical. And the central air does not apologize for deceiving the heat. and the screens do not apologize for deceiving the brightness. And the poetry switches off the linoleum floor and switches on the ceiling. And the adolescents are softer, and they're not putting off thank you. And what is piling up, and what is split. And the clouds ponder the field, and the field ponders the fish that float among the bushes in their imagination. And in the vineyards, grapes turn into raisins, others into wine. And not all the sweet ones are contaminated with maggots of worry, and he who asks for a deluge does not intend annihilation, but only a hard, steaming rain. And the community leaders return from the road, gathering a family to themselves. And generosity is seen as a quiet virtue, and not for display. And mistakes are removed from the heart of things, and the body's exchanges are just, and the public domain is full of permissions, and the private domains are full. And the fruits have set a tenth aside and do not miss the missing part, but are lighter. Sweetness is intensified. Every branch that crossbreeds exceeds to him with whom it was crossbred. And the bulbs open themselves to the outside, and the bees imagine the honey, and the trees get themselves a new king according to the vigor of its blooming. And the asphalt conquers the world and liberates the best of her on the side of the road. And Tamara and Aman have moved into a pansy where they're baking cakes out of the colors, and the dust is withdrawing before the pollination, and every drizzle is the chance of a rainbow. And the green that is in the bushes almost overwhelms the leaves. And in the old people's lawn that surrounds you, the water sprinklers of winter open, and indeed, there is suddenly a good southern wind. Only that she doesn't answer when you ask, sparing you the nothingness. And her wrinkles multiply at once, as if a little girl inside her were shrieking into herself. And your words glide on the slope of her nose when you lean on your cane, looking at her, looking at the blossoming, looking at the asphalt. We could have lived so well, you say, remembering the earth. Now we're going to move into the childbearing years. And Orit is writing, I'm not going to read some of the ones that she's famous for, some of the poems that are involved in the peace movement, just because the script is kind of avant-garde and it's hard to read. I'm not sure which part to read first on the page. But basically what you need to know about this poem, does anybody know what an etrog is? Yeah. So what is it?
Look up an etrog. Fruit.
It looks like a big lemon.
Yeah.
It's like a super lemon, except it doesn't taste, but it smells really good. And you use it during Sukkot. You use it for a ritual. And so it has to be without any blemishes. And so it's often kept in a little container, and it's covered with padding during the holiday of Sukkot, where people sleep in tents, or they put up those weird-looking shacks outside. The other thing is Shemitah year. Shemitah year is a Shabbat for the earth. Every 7th year, the land is supposed to lie fallow. Okay, so those are two terms in here. This is from the longer poem, the Etrog. Straight as a hyphen between you, me. And soon, children hard as diamonds will circle you like a crown, and soon you will straighten like a shaft of a feather, and soon your first steps will accelerate into a run, and soon you will be compelled to play hide and seek with whomever tags you. And the honey of love, which preserves you, repels all touch that is not ready to stick. And soon, what will it help? And now I say yes to the epidural, and yes to the aspirin, and yes to the fallow years of Shemitah, to the talent wasted on washing bottles and making the beds. Yes to the belly that hardens like a tree, and yes to the slingshot, the constant balls of worry, the hand releases. Yes and yes, just to see you sleep, as if nothing changes around us, when you are. Cotton wool and pillow and cotton wool and blanket, cotton wool and teddy bear and cotton wool and doll. I lay it all around you and wait so that the world surrounding you will treat you like an etrog. I referred to a couple of the peace poems, but I'm going to read one of them and you'll see what she does in this book. I think she goes to the original narrative of the Jewish state, or the Jewish nation, and that's with Abraham, who's promised the land of Israel, and the first split is with Isaac and Ishmael, right? In the Quran, Ishmael is the one who goes up the mountain, and in the Bible, the Jewish Bible, it's Isaac. So this poem is, it's not titled. I'm Isaac in reverse. First I recognize your voice, and only after I become blind. Once as a mistake, and once as a blessing. Moving backward from there, I'm Abraham. I don't care who'll save us more, the God or the ram, so long as we ascend together. Moving backward from there, your body curves in my round stomach like an apple. And the tree that is standing and the snake that is reclining are hinges that cannot measure us who sneak into the interior garden. Maybe love will stop here. Another step back, the formlessness and void. Another step forward, the formlessness to come. I'll end on a couple of love poems. This is called Beggar. You promised me, you say, so I promised, I say. And the words create a bowl, and they knock against it like a beggar. You promised me, you say, so I promised you, I say. And the words create a bowl, and they knock against it like a beggar. You promised me, you say, so I promised you, I say. And the words create a bowl, and they knock against it like a beggar. Bird. And when we go out, a bird will fly over the cave, and all the earth will shine with her light. And we will know that you and I suffice for our world. Look, years have ended without that bird, and we are not missing a thing. That's it.